Hi, Christy here. Today I'm in my Akashic records and I'm going to start my exploration today with the word spontaneity. My husband and I, as you know, live in Arizona, where it gets incredibly hot. Yesterday it was like 103 degrees and the heat index was, or the UV index was 12. It's in the purple. And that's when we decided to go out and run an errand. Oh, it was like so brutal. So today he, just a few moments ago, said, how about if we go do this other errand now? And it's about 9 o'clock in the morning here and it's only like 90 degrees right now. And I had plans, gonna meditate, gonna record my video, gonna do a variety of things. Didn't realize he was gonna initiate this. And all of a sudden I'm in this bit of a maelstrom of, ooh, I don't know what I want to do. And this idea of being spontaneous, of like switching gears really quickly, okay, let's do that, didn't come that easily to me, which is interesting. You know, if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality types, I happen to be an INFP, intuitive, introvert, intuitive, feeling, and perceiving. The last one has to do with how good you are really with spontaneity, how much structure you like, and I'm on the border on that one. I according to the assessment, I can go either way, which is true. You know, and also once I decide I'm going to do something spontaneously, then I'm fine and I go with it. But up until that moment, it's kind of, I don't know, and I'm realizing, and I'm seeing this here in my records, is that I tend to have this getting the right answer thing. And once I think, you know, I've got the right answer, then it's hard to let go of doing it that way and switching over and doing it a different way. So what's in here? One of the things is having a plan. You know, most of us who have a plan is sort of loosely translated into a to-do list. What we want to accomplish, what we want to get done, where we want to go is kind of sitting out there as this self-assessment, if you will. And then secondarily, there's a control element that they're talking about here. This idea that I've got it all, you know, I've got it under control and I know what I'm doing and I know where I'm headed and I know what I'm up to. And yes, going back to like, I can check off meditation off my list. I'll get to it today. It doesn't have to be right now. It will happen. This is not a problem. So I think there's a lot in here for me and probably for many of us around going with the flow. Like an opportunity presents itself to go run an errand when it's only 90 and the UV index is like 4, or going when it's 10, 15 degrees warmer and the UV index is like off the scale. Okay, like that's a good way. That's a good invitation to be flexible, right? There is a payoff, there is a benefit. And sometimes the benefit's just, oh, we get to be with the other person. You know, and they are available at that time and that's what's gonna work for both of us versus, you know, I can only do it one way. That this rigidity catches up with a lot of us, right? Where we think we have to do it in a particular order, or we have to do things in a particular timeline, or we have to do things just because we committed to them. I think that's another big thing. Like for me, I used to feel if I started a book, I had to finish it, which was not kind to myself because it was like, if I'm not enjoying it, why am I continuing? But there was some like driving force and I need to show something. And now if I'm partway through a book and I'm like, you know what, this isn't doing it for me, I stop. And it's very freeing and very self-affirming to say, I matter enough to not go through with this. I was talking to a friend yesterday. She said her husband will eat raspberries even if there's mold on them. Again, that's like being in a box. So for me, this is another way spontaneity shows up of, okay, I was planning to have raspberries, but they have mold on them, so I'm not going to have them. I don't have to be the garbage can. I can let it go. You know, if things had gone differently and they were still fresh, I would have them, but they're not, so I'm going to let them go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. So this is being flexible. This is being able to adapt and be more present. And Jyutsu, Safety and Intellect 22, which was right through the collarbones, has to do with being comfortable wherever you are. Like, this is what's going on and I'm okay with it, and I can keep adapting to the environment, to the people, to the experiences, and keep sort of updating myself to like, okay, now this is happening, and now this is what I want, and now this is where I want to head, and sort of this refreshing, this refreshing the page, if you will, on the browser to get to the latest, to see exactly what is going on for you. So let me just see if there's anything else here in the records that they might bring forward. Well, it's interesting too that there can be this way of thinking that spontaneity is good or planning is good. There can be like this value judgment around what your like more common style is, which really you bump into when two styles come together. So many, many years ago, I went on a business trip to France. And after the business part of the trip, my boyfriend joined me. And we went to travel around France after that. And it was March, it's off season, and it was really easy to get a place to stay. And I was like, let's just wander around. And when we're done, we'll find a place to stay. He was not okay with that. He was like, I have to know where I'm staying. I have to have an itinerary. I cannot stand this, basically. And so we did, because I could stand having an itinerary. It didn't make me feel like, oh my gosh, we're hemmed in and we're trapped. All right, that's fine. We'll work around the itinerary. But for him, it was not comfortable. And it's easy to get in judgment of the person who doesn't feel comfortable one way or the other. To feel like, well, that's wrong and that's bad. It's like, no, it's just different than we are. It's so interesting how we are so diverse and so different and so individualized that we have these various preferences and these various styles and these various ways of being, and they're all okay. Although I think it is instructive at times when we bump up against someone who's radically different than our style or whatever, and we go, oh, how do you even do that? Like, if I had to watch my friend's husband eat moldy raspberries, I'd be like, no, stop, don't do it. Don't make yourself sick. It's not worth it. But, for lesser ones, I'll be like, oh, okay, like my boyfriend. Okay, it was so starkly obvious that we were different. But it was fine. And ultimately it was fine. But it was interesting to go, wow, he is very different than I am. And we're not together now. But that really didn't have an impact. There were other reasons. All right, enough of this. I'd love to hear in the comments below whether you would identify more as a spontaneous person or more as a planning person, and how that's worked for you on either end of the spectrum. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. In the meantime, please go be brilliant.